On to a CNBC exclusive, New York Fed President John Williams says the central bank is ready to reassess and reevaluate its views going into 2019. Speaking to CNBC's Steve Leisman, he says the Fed is listening to the market but also looking at data. Here's an excerpt of that conversation on the economy and future rate trajectory.
I don't view this as about one side having it right or wrong. I think the really important message is the economy is strong. That's why we're seeing strength going into the new year, and we expect a healthy economy going in 2019, and that's our baseline expectation. However, we are listening very carefully to what's happening in markets for two reasons. One is financial conditions have an important influence on the economic outlook, and we take that into account and think seriously about that. Second, I think we are hearing something important from markets, and that is a concern around risks to the economy and potential slowdown further than we currently expect in our base case. So we listen carefully to that. We try to do our best to absorb that information and think hard about what are the various risks to the outlook besides the base case, which is really one of healthy and strong growth. I'd like to just reiterate something that I think is important about this conversation, is that we're moving to this more data-dependent mode. If Chairman Powell, I, and others have highlighted the fact that as we move away from this very explicit forward guidance, that we're going to be much more driven by the data in thinking about the economic outlook and about our policy decisions. And for some people, they think data means just looking at the hard data, like the GDP data that came out or the CPI data. But for us, data dependence means not only the economic data like that, but the surveys of households and businesses that we and others conduct. It means listening and talking to people in financial markets, understanding what that's telling us both here and abroad. And finally, one of the strengths of the Federal Reserve System is we have the 12 Federal Reserve banks. We, as presidents, talk regularly to people in businesses who are telling us what's going on in today and how they're seeing things going forward.
If you're hearing the message from the market, I guess the question is, are you listening, in the sense that you went ahead and raised rates on Wednesday? How do you justify that if you are indeed listening to the market? And investors who are putting their money on the line have decided that, A, there's not much inflation concern in my purchases of fixed income bonds. I'm looking for safety in fixed income. I'm going away from stocks. I don't see the robust economy you guys do. How do you justify the rate increase if indeed you're listening to the message of the market?
Well, we're listening to the message of the market, but we're also looking carefully at the data and also talking to business and other leaders in the communities around the country and trying to incorporate all that information together to get a view of the economy. So right now, as I said, we have a very strong economy. We have about 3% growth this year is what we expect. Unemployment is near 50-year lows. And again, we expect this economy, although have a somewhat slower growth next year, but still very solid growth and good, solid job gains. But importantly, we are listening to there are risks of that outlook. There's clearly some concerns that maybe the economy will slow further. And we are sitting there, not sitting there thinking, well, we actually know for sure what's going to happen. What we're going to be doing coming into next year and through next year is reassessing our views of the economy, listening to not only markets, but everybody that we talk to, look at all the data, and be ready to reassess and reevaluate our views, and obviously reassess and reevaluate our policy stance.